Welcome to Big Basket Now presents the RCB podcast.
Our guest on the RCB podcast leads communications and fan engagement for the most followed football club in the world with over 1 billion fans. I'm talking about Manchester United. She has headed marketing and communications for the most thrilling sports of them all, Formula One, a marketing academy fellow. She is an inspirational marketing leader who specializes in building brands and creating impact. I have with me Ellie Norman, the Chief Communications Officer for Manchester United. Welcome to the RCB podcast, Ellie. So nice to have you.
It's wonderful to be here. I really enjoyed the experience being in India with you.
Your role of Chief Communications Officer, it's not just Chief Communications Officer, but it's Chief Communications Officer 2.0. What does that entail and how exactly was this role sold to you?
It's an incredible role, so I'm very, very fortunate. I think in marketing, we always start with the market orientation. So really sort of looking outside versus the sort of inside. And we also sort of recognize how fragmented the landscape is for how we engage with fans. And so this sort of role and how this role has come about was sort of very much from the premise of how do we have a role with someone whose sole focus is to really sort of think about the fan and make sure they're at the heart of sort of decisions at the club. So that's incredibly appealing. The evolution of that is, yes, media relations continue to be hugely important. Great to have that sort of independent voice through sort of journalists, important partner, broadcasters, ensuring that we protect and grow the reputation of the club. But we also have increased owned and operated ecosystem. And therefore, actually, how do we create content that better tells the story of the club in a way that really resonates with our fans, no matter where they are in the world? And so pulling together the content, but also bringing in brand, creative, and that sort of fan engagement ensures that we can sort of really think about all the levers as to how do we sort of better tell those stories and engage fans where they are.
बस यही बोलना है, यही तुम्हारा ऐड?
Yeah, that's it.
सही है यार. Now delivering in 10 minutes.
You had communications for the biggest football club in the world. And how do you keep the craze alive? And how do you even measure success?
It's such a privilege. One thing sort of Manchester United is not short of is attention. So certainly one of the surprises for me is just how much scrutiny the club is under all the time. And we're certainly held to a sort of higher standard. For me, it's sort of really being able to understand and appreciate what that sort of narrative is. But we have a really clear strategy and a plan inside of the club. And actually, it's as much about staying focused on that. And certainly for me, how do I best motivate and empower my team that we continue sort of on the strategy that we are sort of working towards? We need to appreciate clearly what happens on the pitch. You know, first and foremost, we're a football club, but equally, there are stories that we can continue to tell about a lot of the sort of great work that happens at the club, celebrate what our fans are doing, celebrate what our academy does, and also the women's sort of first team. So there's so many different sort of facets. So it's really understanding what role each of that plays. And then actually from a success point of view, we'll look at sort of many things, but for us, it's really sort of evolving and moving from awareness. So we have huge awareness, but let's be more specific. Let's really think about salience. So the degree to which people think of us is important, and how can we help to ensure that we're driving salience, affinity? So how desirable are we as a club? Do we have new fans coming to support the club? how do our existing fans sort of feel? And actually, to what extent are they really engaging with us? And so actually, a lot of those quality metrics are really, really important to balance with a lot of the quantity metrics. So really understanding, do we have the right reach into the market? Understanding our daily active users, the time kind of spent on the site. But that quality comes from actually what is really engaging and resonating, and how can we then sort of localize, create more content that really does work for our sort of different fans and followers around the globe.
Around the globe, truly.
बस यही बोलना है, यही तुम्हारा ऐड?
Yeah, that's it.
सही है यार. Now delivering in 10 minutes.
I think you set the ground straight, because my question was coming towards, is Manchester United a football team, or is Manchester United a brand with a football department?
We are 100% a football club. The club was founded in 1878, so it has an incredible heritage, and certainly one that has been hugely successful, most successful football club in English history. But it's also a club that's really known for its resilience and sort of triumphing through adversity, particularly the sort of Munich air disaster. And that's something that we sort of acknowledge and pay our respects to sort of each year. So everything that we do at the club today is always centered around sort of football. But certainly within football, there is an ecosystem. And you'll be sort of familiar with the sort of financial fair play rules. And therefore, football is always 1, 2, and 3. But it's vitally important that we then think about the rest of the ecosystem. So for us, fans, equally as important. And then ensuring that actually we have the commerciality. So that's ensuring that the match day experience can be as great as possible for fans attending Old Trafford, but also we have commercial partnerships, and how do we best activate those partnerships so that it's of value for our fans, of value for our partner, and of value for the sort of club. And it's getting all of that sort of working in the right way, but the focus always remains football 1, 2, and 3.
Right. I think we can all agree that content is the new oil, and content is at the center of it all. There's so much of storytelling, narratives to be built around players, and fans certainly an opportunity to get closer to the team, apart from just the game alone, on the field, off the field as well. But within this whole process, we see attention span of the fan getting lower and lower. How do you see this going?
It's a really interesting question. And something that the way that I will often think about things is in a complementary manner. So for many fans, the 90-minute game still remains the most important thing.
Yeah, it's the most pivotal.
And we see that certainly with how robust the TV viewership figures are for live matches, and equally the media rights that go alongside that. What we also have is so many ways to now connect with fans and to bring fans into that sort of 90 minutes. And certainly from a club point of view, we really sort of look to understand who those fans are and what are the best channels to really sort of engage them. And actually that's where the role of social, our owned and operated, plays a sort of huge part. So the app can often be a companion voucher, but it can also be a companion, when the live match is on, but it can also very much sort of fulfill that community sort of element where we're able to, once the sort of 90 minutes has been played, be able to say, okay, what's a 20-minute version of that sort of 90 minutes? How do you take some of the key clips from a game once we're able to publish that and to put that back on sort of social? So again, we're recognizing that everyone is still drawn into the 90 minutes, and that's the most important thing. But actually, how do we best serve those fans where they are? And that can often be within a social space or a sort of digital space, and give them the sort of content that they want. So it's really about everything around the 90 minutes as well, and being able to sort of tell those stories. So for us, we certainly find some of our most engaging content. We'll often be publishing the squad list ahead of a game, traveling, and being able to share some of that. And then, as I said, the 90 minutes and 20 minutes will be sort of content that drives huge viewership and engagement for us.
All right. So there's a whole bouquet of content that can be served. And isn't it beautiful that we can serve the whole garden
Yeah.
as well?
बस यही बोलना है, यही तुम्हारा ऐड?
Yeah, that's it.
सही है यार. Now delivering in 10 minutes.
Ellie, I'm going to get a little more specific in terms of how do you ensure that the club is winning even when the team isn't necessarily winning?
It's something that, I'm certainly not in control of, is the 90 minutes on pitch. And, we've got great people playing those roles with sort of in the men's first team, sort of Eric Ten Hag, and in the women's first team, sort of Mark Skinner and their sort of teams. But outside that, for me, winning is about genuinely understanding the fan, knowing the kind of marketplace, and being able to really sort of serve that fan with what they want. And actually, therefore, it's about being very focused on what is our strategy, why do we exist? And actually, there are so many incredible stories and work that happens in and around the club. And we've got pillars focused around youth, around community, and sort of around culture. So actually being able to share some of that for me is how we sort of win. So it's all those small things that we can do for a fan, and how we continue to evolve that is for me how we can sort of win, whilst sort of Eric and Mark focus on what happens on the pitch.
Right. How India consumes football and how Manchester United, being a global brand, penetrates locally as well. So how exactly do you focus on individual markets, Ellie?
So India is a big market for us. In fact, we have 100 million fans and followers here. And the way that we really look to engage is, number one, ensure that we're localizing our content so it's relevant and it resonates. Work closely with our supporters clubs here, and they put a huge amount of energy and effort into watch parties. And we'll often have 350, 400 people coming together to watch the matches. So there's big sort of focus there. And then within sort of India as well, we've got a long-term partnership with sort of Apollo. So they're our global partner. We've been in partnership for the last 10 years together. And actually what they do to sort of activate our partnership is incredible. So they have a program called United We Play. And so a big, big focus on grassroots football in sort of India. So with that program, we support by bringing legends, by bringing some of our soccer school coaches.
Yeah.
And they will work then with sort of Apollo on their program to sort of travel to sort of 24 cities in India, typically sort of reaching about 15,000 kids. And this year, they're also doing that with sort of coaches, so that actually there is a legacy that can start to be sort of built here. At the end of that sort of program, there will obviously be a number of winners, and those winners will be brought over with Apollo to sort of Manchester United, come to the training facility at Carrington, opportunity to sort of meet the academy and have an experience at sort of Old Trafford. So they would be sort of some examples alongside sort of the I Love United events that we've hosted since sort of 2012, I think was the first one, to really sort of engage the fan base here in India.
Different sport, IPL and the EPL, but is there any way you emulate same things happening because the fan is at play in the center of it all?
I think for sports, clearly whatever the sports discipline is, that's first and foremost the product, as I kind of talk about. But fans are so important, and that's a similarity across kind of all sports. I think what I certainly admire about the sort of IPL is the fan engagement. So it's quite incredible to think that so many matches are played in actually a relatively short period of time, like 2 months. But the engagement that is maintained throughout the year is phenomenal, number one. And I really like the franchise structure around sort of cities. and just the sort of passion that exists there. So that's all. You can always learn from other people, but that's certainly something I admire.
And for the matching colors, I think it's fair to assume which is your favorite IPL franchise.
Well, it would always have to be RCB.
Thank you so much, Ellie. Love the conversation and love the fact that there is so much at play here, and the fact that the fan is heard and made to feel heard at all times. And at the same time, the game is changing, and so is the league, and so are the mannerisms in such a large manner. Appreciate you spending time with us and look forward for plenty more. Thank you.
Thank you for your time and congratulations on everything that you've done.
Big Basket Now presents the RCB podcast.